Welcome back to Successful Kids, Successful Schools. I'm Penny. This is
Bill,
Bill.
you tested me.
Right, I am. And we have been talking about Bill's program called Best Year Ever. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the importance of a shared vision. Last week, we talked about how you build a team in your classroom. And this week, we're going to talk about being an authentic teacher, which doesn't seem important, but I'm going to start talking. Bill and I made a commitment to one another that we were not going to get political about this. We weren't going to say, you need to, challenge this or challenge that. No. We're trying to get you to figure out, how do I do what I need to do and still maintain the rules of the system?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So now the system has started, because they're teaching to the test, they've started literally buying scripts that they hand teachers. You're going to say this. And Bill and I, who I've directed mostly, Bill acted. Here's the thing. The audience will come up to actors at the end of a show and they say, I don't know how you memorized all those lines. I really don't know how you memorized. And you're sitting thinking, hey, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
That's just the start.
That's all you remember. That's bad.
Right. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Your goal is to convince people that it's coming out of that character authentically. Mm-hmm. So if they give you a script now, it's really hard to make yourself seem authentic. Mm-hmm. I'm an authentic teacher when I am reading these lines and somebody in the system has said to me, I should be able, and I've heard teachers say this to me, I should be able to go from one fourth grade classroom to the next fourth grade classroom, mm-hmm. and that teacher should be picking up on what the previous teacher has just said. Mm-hmm. That's terrifying in a way, mm-hmm. but it's based on script. And so the question is, how am I going to be authentic in this new world? So our answer is, well, they should give teachers acting lessons.
Seriously, if they're going to do that, they should.
And of course, everybody laughs and goes and hysterically goes, no, that's not going to happen. It's like, yes, but we need to be authentic because kids know instantly if you're lying. Mm-hmm. They can tell if what you're saying to them is not real. That's when Bill says to us, tell them you care. Well, you damn well better care, or don't say it.
Absolutely.
That's the reality.
You'll lose the trust right away.
Right away. So the issue is, how do I stay authentic in a system that's telling me, here's a script, now say it. So now I did the intro and I'm turning it over to Bill, who's going to start telling you how this is going to happen.
Okay, I'm going to read from my script. No, I'm just kidding. That's interesting though you said that, because I was once asked to go with a group of teachers to see another teacher teach that was working on a new program, a reading program that was coming to our district, and we were going to adopt it. And she was vibrant, just like you, very vibrant, energetic. She was a young teacher, and we were like, oh, this is going to be fun to watch, because I love watching other teachers teach. And as soon as she started, it was like a robot got in front of the class. She was hitting all the marks, but she was like, it was flat. It's because she was reading a script, mm-hmm. and it didn't feel natural. And the kids didn't. You could see the kids just sort of. And then when she took a break and got away from the script, she was more herself again, and the kids were more engaged. And it was so clear that is the wrong approach. And so it really worried me that that's where we're headed, and it's gotten worse since, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I had to do that. Just to, same thing. We come in your room, you should be on the same page as everybody else is on that, and that's how it works. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Wait, they said that to you?
Yeah, I mean, in reference that you should be close to each other, not exactly.
Right, I got it.
Yeah, but it was, I should come into every room at that same day, same time, and see certain things, And so I remember when I had to do a scripted reading with the kids, I would tell them, this is scripted, guys. This isn't me. So I'm going to try to read this like I do when I read to you. I'm going to read it with a character voice just to make it interesting. And I would say, and we're going to sometimes do bad theater. So I'm going to read the script as over dramatic as I can to really emphasize the points they want me to emphasize. And we'll have a chuckle, but then we'll actually talk more about what we're really trying to learn, because I'm trying to be respectful and to what they're asking me to do. And but I think we can still have fun with it and keep you engaged. And so we just adapted it, adopt and adapt. That's going to be my message for this segment. So yeah, for me, authentic is very important because, you know, you said I was an actor. I started that because I was teaching, and my principal told me, you got to go out and find a life because you're here every night really late because you like working on this stuff. And I was alone. I was in a new place. And so it was kind of comforting to be at work and getting ready for the next day. And he said, you're burning yourself out. You're going to be no good to us. So go out and find a life.
And that's when we met.
Yes. And so I took an acting class.
And soon after that, you met your wife.
Yes. So things started going the right direction. Yeah. I actually found a life. So it's great. And it's been great. But the acting for me, people would say later is this all an act? Because I can't act like you. And I'm like, you don't want to be me. And no, this is not an act. You come see me in anything I'm doing, I get excited, you know, because that's why not get excited? And so kids are going to know if I'm acting it. So so I stopped telling people I was an actor when I went out to speak, because I didn't want them to think this is an act, you know?
Right.
It's like, no, this is me. You can ask any of my friends if this is how I am.
And the secret to acting, by the way, is to be as real as you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
To create that character and really absorb
That's
that
where
character.
the work is. That's it. You have to really start to think and be that character to pull it off. But in the classroom, I just have to be myself. And so I come in with that passion. Now, I worked with a lot of different teachers over the years, partners. But my last teaching partner and I worked for 14 years together. So we had time to really get to know each other. And she was much younger than I was, because I was near the last part of my career. She was just entering. And she was more like, I always said, she was more like a jazz player. She was more reserved, but still, you could tell she was into what she was teaching. She wasn't flashy and kind of energetic like I was. She was more in control. And I said, I'm more like a rock teacher.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, I'm going to get up and do jams right in front of, AC/DC, yeah. And so you didn't know what you were going to get, but it's like we worked so well together, and I think the kids liked that balance, but they knew she was who she was, and they knew who I was, that these were authentic people. They were truly being themselves. And the key to that, I think, is you have to show kids that you're human, that you have feelings. Like sometimes I would tell them about my struggles. Some teachers never talk about the struggles they've had. They just come like they know it all, and they start teaching it like you should know it all. Instead, let them know, guys, you know, when I was a kid, I struggled with this, and let them know how you overcame some of your struggles or how you tried to overcome some of your challenges. So that's authentic, to let them know you struggled. And I think it builds a rapport with the ones that do struggle, because they're like, I'm going to listen to what this guy's doing, because he doesn't seem like he's struggling right now. He seems like he's enjoying it. And
because when you think about it, there's so little.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are focusing on elementary school.
Yeah.
And so teacher knows everything.
Yeah.
Teacher's so smart.
Yeah.
So just to say to them,
right.
No, when I was your age, I was like, I mean, the words got twisted up, and I couldn't, you know, I was seeing double, and
right.
you know,
right.
and I was kind of a problem kid. You were a problem kid?
Yeah. And they're like, how did you fix that? Or what happened?
Yeah.
So, well, you know.
Because you're so smart now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it allows me too, because I'm always telling them to take risks. I want you to take risks. Your mistakes are, you know, we value mistakes in this classroom because you learn from your mistakes. So when I make mistakes, I would call them out and say, I'd call myself out and go, guys, this lesson's not going well, is it? And they're like, not really. And I'm like, okay, I can do better than this, but give me time. I'm going to go home and rework this and come back at it another day, you know, but so I'm going to make some adjustments. But you know what? It doesn't bother me. This is how I grow. And I told you, I'm going to make mistakes this year. Here's an example. And so they're like, he really does make mistakes, and he doesn't get flustered. He just kind of tells us and moves on. Or if I think it wasn't fair to them, I'll say, you know what? When I make a mistake, if I have to say sorry, I'll own it, and I'll say sorry if I need to, and then I'll move on. And that's what I would say. I apologize for taking up some of your time, but let's go back and fix this.
Okay, I'm going to come back to your stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about my experience. Remember, I was a guest artist.
Yeah.
So I got to be in a gazillion classrooms, watching a gazillion teachers teach. And my biggest learning experience watching teachers, I was teaching in a small town, Winstead, Connecticut,
Yeah.
and I had a grant to do my program,
Yep.
and so I was teaching every grade from kindergarten through 8th grade.
Yeah.
In all the schools, right? All the elementary schools, including parochial schools. So there was at bachelor school, there were 3 third grade teachers, and I will never forget them. And they couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and they're required to teach the curriculum.
Yeah.
So they're teaching the same stuff. And one of them was sort of like us, but an older teacher, and loved English and loved words, and was really a passionate woman.
Yeah.
Passionate woman. And her class, by the way, ended up being just like her. They were all passionate about words. I mean, and loved exploding the moment.
Yeah.
How do you explode that moment? Oh, Miss Lemire, look what I'm doing. Oh my gosh. And like, this is so exciting, right? Right. And then the second teacher was an athlete. And everything she did in her classroom was physical.
Yep.
And they were all physical, but they were all like trained athletes. Like, we're doing this, and boom, 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 teaching the same thing.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Teaching the same thing. The third one was my very favorite, because when I first got there, her name was Peg Mashad. I'm saying her name because I want her to get like all the credit in the world.
Good for you.
She was the most quiet woman you'll ever meet.
Yep.
And she would say, boys and girls, we're going to do this today.
Yeah.
And this voice.
And they would lean in.
Oh, they totally. And she had another teacher who had been the second grade teacher, whose class was hellish. That's all I could describe. She yelled at the kids all the time, and the kids misbehaved all the time. Yep. And they gave like practically her whole class to Miss Mashad. And I'm like, what is going to happen? Because she's
going to get eaten alive. Yeah.
Exactly. She is going to get eaten alive. In less than a week, they were all, and they were talking like she was talking. Yep. But boom.
They mirror you.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that was her personality. And she would say, boys and girls, I'm so pleased with what you did today. Or boys and girls, I'm a little sad today. And they'd all go, oh, we heard Miss Mashad. Oh my God, it works. Right. So my point here is, you can take a script.
Yeah.
But don't take your personality away.
Right.
Take that script and say, but I'm still me.
That's a great way to put it.
And me
absolutely
has to be a part of this script.
That's it. And that's it. You want to be real. You have to be true to yourself, and true to your team, because that's what they're going to pick up on immediately. And if they do, they trust you. Now, here's the exception I would make is that, and I'm not saying not to be yourself, but when I first started teaching, I remember I was with some amazing teachers because I was the youngest one on the staff. And I was very lucky to be placed at a level where they had 2 of the best teachers in the school, by maybe even the district.
I know where you're going with this.
Yes. Yeah. And so what I would do is I would watch them, and I was like, I'm trying to find myself in the classroom, but I would watch them, and it's like their teams were so well behaved, and the way they transitioned was like from place to place in the hallways was amazing. And so what I started to do was I would go into their rooms after school and just say, do you got a minute? I noticed your kids were, like doing this or this or that. You do this. And I'm like, could you tell me why, can you help me out with that so I can learn how to do that with my kids?
Right. Never be afraid to steal.
Right.
If it's working for somebody else,
I call it adopt.
For you.
So adopt and adapt. So it's adopt. I'm not stealing. I'm adopting it. And I'm adapting. Right. But yeah, it's a compliment. But you're right, absolutely. And so what I did was they became my mentors, and I would go to both of these teachers, and I literally was trying to be more like them my first couple of years of teaching. And then what happened was I got to the point where I was feeling that there's a point where you're learning the science of teaching and then you want to learn the art of teaching.
Right.
And when you
Right.
first start teaching, you're learning the science of teaching. You're learning how to do things differently. And so it's a little bit it's like when you first start acting in a play, you're still you playing the part. So
Right.
you're just trying to learn the blocking and stuff.
Right.
So it's just awkward. You're in between two worlds. But that's what I was trying to do. And I remember that you said this once, don't be glib, and I'll never forget that. You were in one of the class, and you were the most unglib teacher I'd ever had. Like, you get sucked in immediately to your energy, and we happen to have very similar energy, so it really, I was like locked in. But the thing is you said, and I'm like, I don't know what this word is, but I know it's going to be good. And you just stopped teaching and said, you walked out to us. You said, whatever you do in life, don't be glib. And I'm like looking at you, and I'm like, okay, like, what's this going to be about? Because you did these bird walks once in a while, and they're always really interesting. And it was totally off topic, but you said, whatever you do in life, show some passion. Like, don't just phone it in. Don't just, get through it.
And my fear about the scripted stuff.
Yes.
Is that
it's easy to phone it in.
It's totally easy.
It is.
I've read this. I've done what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And that's glib.
And you went on and on about how, be yourself. And so this is why, this is what made me think. Yeah. This is what made me think about this, is that when I first started teaching, I talk to new teachers a lot, and, we lose 40 to 50% of our new teachers within the first year. And that number may even be growing with the way things have been going. No, I'm sorry, first 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
40 to 50% within the first 5 years. I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that. But that's still way too many. I would say to them, look to your left, look to your right. One of you guys aren't going to be here if that's true
in 5 years.
In 5 years. And that's a shame, because this is what you dedicated your life to do. You went to college to do this.
Right.
I said, you got to give yourself time to get better at this.
Right.
And so,
and become your authentic self while you're teaching.
Yes. So what would happen is I remember I was taking my kids down to the band and music first week of school, and I'd never experienced this experience before. And they're all excited because they got their little instruments in their cases, and they're walking down, and they've never played before, but they're going down. Fifth grade. And I snuck down early just to hear what it sounded like after about a week or so, because I knew they were starting to play their instruments. And I got to tell you, it was the most god-awful music you've ever heard. It sounded like people were stepping on geese. They're like, oh. And the teacher was so patient. She's like, okay, we're starting to get there. And I'm like, are you lying to the kids? This is out crazy. And then they'd open the door and I'd say, wow, you guys are starting to sound pretty good there. Keep going there. And then inside I'm like, but by Christmas, it was amazing because they were starting to play their instrument where they could play very basic tunes, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, Jingle Bells, something like that. Because we had a concert every year. And then they brought in the middle school kids to show what they played. And then they showed the high school kids. Mm-hmm. So this is where it became interesting to me, is that's what new teaching is. You're learning to play an instrument.
That's good.
You go to college, you learn about the instrument, but you never play it until you go into student teaching. And now you're playing it for the first time, but you have somebody kind of helping you. They're playing most of it, and you're playing the easy parts. And then you get to do a couple riffs on your own. But the thing is you're still so new at this instrument. You can't just pick up an instrument and expect to be just playing it, whatever instrument. It takes time. And so what I'm trying to tell them is, by the time I saw them as fifth graders playing in a concert, and then I saw them again playing as middle school students, they sounded even better. Like, oh my gosh, they're playing more detailed songs. And I only hear once in a while, whatever. And then eventually in high school, they're playing really well. And you're like, they're amazing. These kids are playing amazing.
Yeah, I want to add to this.
Yeah.
You're 21 or 22 years old. Now, we're old, right? We've established that we're old.
Yeah.
Thing is, you don't know what your authentic self is at 21 or 22.
You don't. You're still learning.
You really, so it isn't just,
right.
I got to immediately be authentic. It's like, if I knew what that was.
Yes.
I don't know who I am yet. Right. So you've got to hold on to learning who you are.
Yes.
So if you're a beginning teacher, you're also a beginning human being.
Give yourself time. Yeah. Absolutely. And so my whole point is that I want them to know that you're learning the science of teaching. You're just learning how to play. And this is the reason I'm saying this. You're learning how to play the instrument. So we're going to give you examples to play off of, or you're going to try to start playing other people might play like. So you start to, and then you'll find your own way. But first we want to teach you some basic ways how everybody should at least learn to play it. And so, what I was trying to get them to do is that when my first years of teaching, I was trying to be Betty Nover and I was trying to be Pam Ogle. I'll tell you their names because they were so, and they weren't like my energy, but they were so good at what they did.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from them. I would adopt what they were doing and start to maybe adapt it a little bit as I got more comfortable so it fit more my style. So that's my advice, is to adopt and adapt. And the reason I say that is because you said also during that glib speech, you all want, hey man, this isn't powerful stuff. Teachers make impacts. You made a huge impact. You said at the end, you want to create a masterpiece with your teaching in your lifetime. And I thought, or whatever you do. You didn't say teaching, so whatever you do, you want to create a masterpiece with your work.
With you.
And in my mind, I was like, teaching, I want to create a masterpiece. This is like a big thing I'm working on now. It has way big more importance.
Right.
And so I got to give it time. And so
I'm sort of amazed at how smart I was.
You're brilliant.
I said that?
I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if you weren't, man. This is great. So, but anyways, so recently, while that was happening, I had another interesting thing. My son was taking a band class. And so he was taking it, well, this was later on, but he was taking a band class, and this is what tied it into it, is that they were doing a competition where they came in to this big auditorium, and then they were having people judge them, professional musicians judge them. And so it was to see how well they were playing as a unit. And then they would grade them and give them a score, not in front of an audience, but in front of the parents and them. Mm-hmm. And then they would tell them how they compared to other bands they were listening to that day. So when he came to do theirs, he said, you guys, you guys are amazing. You all are together. You're moving forward together. You're hitting your notes at the right time. It's really, really good music, and your audience, you could tell, enjoyed it. He goes, but I don't want that to go to your head because you're just beginning still. So there's another level you haven't reached yet, and I'm not insulting you, but it's what it is. And that is, you got to play long enough to get to a level where you stop worrying about how to do it. You start getting into you put your soul and your spirit into it. That's where it becomes art. And right now it's not art. It's just great music, but it's not art. It's when you hear somebody playing, you're like, oh my God, that song touched me, or their voice or whatever.
I'm going to respond to that in a different way. It's called being in the zone.
Yes.
Right? An athlete is in the zone.
Absolutely.
An actor is in the zone. I mean, there's a point when you're acting, and it doesn't happen that often, but you and your acting partner are so in sync that nothing you can do is wrong.
Right.
Same thing in sports. And you can feel it. You can feel the rhythm. It's just like it's there. The thing is,
you let go and stop thinking.
That can happen with teaching, and that's when you're authentic.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen overnight. It's magical when it happens, and the thing is, your body relaxes into it.
Right.
I'm okay, and I'm going there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
And too many new teachers, see, they come in and they think they have to start playing at that level. Right. That's an insane. That's like from first time you're playing to be a high school playing level, like I was trying to say. Right. That it takes time. So give yourself that time, but learn from them every day and adopt and adapt and be them. But then you want to grow to be yourself in the classroom. You want to become who you are and let the kids see who you authentically are and encourage them to do the same.
Right.
Give them time to find their rhythm in fifth grade and become who they are, or whatever grade level. And so that to me is what authentic is all about.
I'm going to go back to you're saying when you said, but how did you say it? You kind of said, yes, be authentic, but adopt and adapt something else other people do. There's something else that I think is doesn't work in a classroom, and that is screaming. Screaming is not authentic. No. It's out of control.
It is.
Right? Yeah. So, and my story about that is, so I had a puppy, and my puppy was, how would I put my puppy? Everybody thought she was the wildest puppy in the class, right? Yeah. I took her to obedience class, and she was like nuts. And so the guy that was the master teacher came, and he looked around the room, and he said, I'm going to train her, my puppy, who was like untrainable, we thought. And this is what he did. He got in the center of the room with her, and he was like a dog whisperer, in essence. He'd go, look at me.
Isn't that amazing?
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me. Half hour later, my dog was completely trained. And then he looked at me and he said, did you see what I did? I mean, yeah. He goes, you never have to yell.
Right.
And so I think what we also have to put into that authentic stuff is when when your classroom seems out of control, pull back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pull back.
And that's where a procedure would come in. For example, instead of trying to talk over them, I would simply teach them that when I turn off the light, you have 5 seconds to get the voice down to 0. And if not, then that might take away from one of our incentive points that we're trying to earn towards something. So they got trained at. I just simply walk over and just hit the lights, wait till it was quiet, turn them back on, say, guys, that was awesome. So here's why I turned off the lights, and then I'll say, now let's just keep moving or whatever. And so, but it didn't take any anger, any frustration. It was, so I'm in control.
It isn't that you're not being authentic, because authentic at some point...
You do get angry once in a while. Yes. And I did once in a while.
Authentic is, I'm going to kill these kids right this minute if they don't shut up. Right?
Right.
That,
we don't use those words, but...
Authentic does not work.
Right.
Stay away from that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm hoping that you got the drift of being authentic.
Yeah.
We try to be authentic while we're here. So we are wrapping up for today. And next week, when we come back, we're going to talk about an absolutely crucial skill, and that is the power of listening. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.